Further with Sami al-Arian. He is the director of the Center for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University. Professor, great to see you. So the big question here is whether or not the killings of Ismail Haniyeh's sons and grandchildren are going to have a major impact on truce negotiations that are underway. Tell me, what's your navigation through this?
Well, first, let's acknowledge that Israel really does not respect any international institutions in all its actions. It has ignored so far the Security Council resolution, the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, the General Assembly resolutions, repeated resolutions, successive governments, all governments across the world trying to make Israel understand that this kind of behavior is unacceptable and it's against international law, yet it does not really respect anything. In the past couple of weeks, it just had a strike bombed a diplomatic institution, a diplomatic facility in Damascus. It killed and assassinated international aid workers in the World Central Kitchen. And it has assassinated people who were trying to collect food items. And now it assassinated and targeted the children of the leader that it's trying to negotiate with. So obviously what it's trying to do is just lashing out at everybody. And that is not conducive to any meaningful negotiations. So is it going to affect or impact the negotiations? I mean, possibly, because I don't think this kind of behavior would let the resistance stop its conditions or try to alter its conditions. And the conditions are very clear. Israel needs to end its barbaric invasion and barbaric bombardment and war. This savagery must end. It must withdraw also from Gaza. It must allow the Palestinians who have been displaced throughout Gaza back to their homes, particularly in the north. And then it can negotiate a meaningful exchange of prisoners. So this kind of behavior would not allow these kind of things to take place when you try to target civilians in such savagery manner.
Okay, now, let me pick your brain on this. We have not seen any significant reaction come from the United States when it comes to the killing of Ismail Haniyeh's sons and grandchildren. What does it mean? How should one read that?
The problem with the United States, it has a lot of bark but no bite. The United States Biden speaks from both sides of his mouth. He wants to stop the war, but at the same time, he arms Israel to continue its war. He gives it warning, yet he does not use any leverage to try to make it stop this savage war. So the United States goes to the Security Council and try to talk the big talk. When it comes to vote, it does not vote according to what it preaches. So I'm not sure what the United States policy is when it comes to these kind of things. I mean, if it's going to uphold international law in a world that it nurtured and it's trying to manage, otherwise there would be a lawless world. It's not upholding this international law. When it comes to Israel, everything is allowed to it. So is it going to condemn this? I doubt it very much. I think from the behavior of the United States, it's been backing the Israeli regime since day one, and it has armed it, and it has given it all the protection in order to escape any kind of accountability.
Okay, and I think one thing that we need to make clear for our audience is that Ismail Haniyeh is the head of the political bureau of Hamas. Now, the entity that is fighting on the ground is al-Qassam brigades. And Professor, correct me if I'm wrong, the Hamas political bureau does not have much influence when it comes to designing the war strategy of al-Qassam brigade. So I wonder what could be the potential reaction from al-Qassam brigades to the killings of Ismail Haniyeh's sons.
I mean, Hamas does have its political and military wings. I mean, at the end of the day, the political head of Hamas is also the head of the whole organization. But let's remind ourselves that this is not a war between Palestine and Hamas. This is a war that Israel has started after Hamas attack, but it has targeted all Palestinians. This is a war on Gaza. This is a war on the Palestinians. It's not just about punishing Hamas. When you're killing over 40,000 people between killed and lost, and over almost 80,000 people injured, and destroying every livable, uninhabitable, and making Gaza uninhabitable, that is not a war on Gaza. That's not a war on Hamas. This is a war on Gaza. And that's what we're facing here. So let's not fall into this Israeli trap that this is somehow a war against Hamas. Israel has different objectives, not only to defeat Hamas militarily, but to make sure that the Palestinians will not have a place in Gaza to live or come back to. Now, whether this is going to have an impact, as you said, I think it will do. It will have an impact, but it's just more important that it's exposing Israel to what it is. It's a savage and terrorist and rogue state.
Sami, al-Arian, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.